Hello and welcome to another Kings at Home Daily. My name's Paul Hatton and I'm one of the leaders at King's Community Church. We're working our way through the New Testament book of Acts, sometimes called Acts of the Apostles. In the New Testament, the Bible, you've got the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, and they document the life of Jesus and the death of Jesus and the resurrection of Jesus. And then Acts is what happened afterwards. What happened like in the first 30 years of post Jesus. Amazing historical document put together by Luke, and we're in chapter 2. Some crazy stuff has happened. Like you look at it and you read it and you think this is supernatural, this is not normal. You've got people gathered together in Jerusalem and they're all speaking in tongues that they don't understand themselves, but their tongues, they're other languages of people that are gathered in Jerusalem, and people are through those tongues communicating the gospel, the truth about who Jesus is. It's incredible, and Peter steps up to explain what is going on, to bring some clarity around it. And we're in sort of the second part of this, address that Peter gives to the crowd. And we're just going to look at a few verses today, starting from verse 24. It says, "But God raised him from the dead." So we're talking about Jesus. He's died. Peter's already covered that. So God raised him from the dead, freeing him from the agony of death, because it was impossible for death to keep its hold on him. David said about him, "I saw the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I will not be shaken. Therefore my heart is glad and my tongue rejoices. My body also will rest in hope, because you will not abandon me to the realm of the dead. You will not let your Holy One see decay. You have made known to me the paths of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence." Now this is, Peter is quoting back to Psalm 16, a psalm of David, the king, King David, or he was a shepherd boy, but became the king of Israel. And it's amazing that David here is speaking about Jesus, even though Jesus had never been born. He wasn't going to be born for ages, and yet David speaks something so amazing about Jesus' resurrection, and about the fact that David, he himself, would not see death in the same way as someone who doesn't love and know and follow Jesus. So we get the first bit, verse 24, God raised him from the dead, freed him from the agony of death, because it was impossible for death to keep its hold on him. The first thing here is that this is Jesus. This is the Jesus that Christians and we as followers of Jesus worship. He's alive. Sure, he died. Sure, he was mocked and beaten and scorned and brutally treated by the Romans, but he didn't stay dead. He is alive, and he's alive today at work in the world, in the lives of his followers. And he's raised from the dead because it was impossible for death to keep its hold on him. I don't know what your thoughts are on death, whether you don't mind that it's coming at some point in life, or whether you fear death, whether just that sense of dying and leaving family, maybe leaving friends, maybe not getting to enjoy a full and happy life, maybe that brings anxiety in your heart. I can relate to both of those at different times of my life. Death is, in one sense, it is completely unnatural. It is completely not the way that God intended it to be. And yet death is not something that we should fear. Often in the New Testament they would talk about it in terms of falling asleep. I think it's a really beautiful way of bringing a less final sense to it in a biblical, Christian, Jesus-centric way. It's falling asleep such that you'll wake again and be with Jesus. Death could not hold Jesus. Jesus overcame death, so we do not need to fear death. Death, for followers of Jesus, if you'd call yourself a follower of Jesus, you do not need to fear death. Death is not the end. You'll fall asleep and you'll be reunited with Jesus. You'll be able to see him and know him in all of his glory and beauty. And that's all because Jesus overcame death. He conquered death and all the havoc that death and Satan, God's enemies, have wreaked for thousands of years. And then Peter puts this passage in from Psalms, quoting David. David says, "Therefore my heart is glad and my tongue rejoices. My body also will rest in hope, because you will not abandon me to the realm of the dead. You will not let your Holy One see decay." So not only can we know that death is not the end, that we will not face eternity without God, but, verse 28, "You've made known to me the paths of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence." That is what life with Jesus is like. It's life in abundance. It's life to the fullness as we embrace the fact that he loves us, the fact that he cares for us, the fact that he adopts us, the fact that he has given everything to us as an inheritance. Everything that he enjoys, we get to now enjoy in terms of life and fullness of it. This is amazing. As we embrace this, we know the paths of life. We know joy in his presence. It's not that life isn't sometimes rubbish, and sometimes life is just really hard, and sometimes we're filled with grief and lament and pain and anguish. But it's knowing through those times of mourning, that we don't grieve without hope. We grieve with this sense of hope that one day God is going to restore all things, that one day we'll get to enjoy his presence forevermore. Maybe you've been watching these videos and you don't know what you think about Jesus. Maybe you're just not sure who he is, what he's done. I want to encourage you that the only way to know and be sure that you can walk through death, and for death not to be the end, and to not face eternity, as the Bible talks about, in hell, separation from God and all things good. The only way to ensure that is to put your trust in the one person who has gone through death and conquered it and come back to life the other side. And that is Jesus. So if you're wondering, how do I get life and life in all its fullness? Follow Jesus, the life giver. Get to know Jesus. Get into a relationship with him. Start following him. Start talking to him. Get a Bible. Read a Bible. Connect with a church. Connect with us online. We'd love to hear from you. Start following him. I think tomorrow there's a section that talks about repenting, being baptized, turning to Jesus, turning away from the sin and the rebellion and the brokenness that we've given ourselves to, repenting and getting baptized in Jesus. There'll be more of that good news tomorrow. But Church family, let me encourage you, death is not the end. Let's not fear death, but let's look to Jesus, the life giver, the one who conquered sin and death once and for all and offers life to us today. Bless you.